The Israel and Hamas war enters its sixth day now. At least 51 people were killed in Gaza after a series of Israeli air raids, which continues as we speak, taking the total death toll in the Hamas-ruled region to over 1,100. Israel endured a massive multi-pronged surprise attack from Hamas on Saturday, triggering another war. Over 1,200 people have been killed in Israel so far. The Israeli forces also claim to have found over 1,500 bodies of Hamas infiltrators on its territory. As the war drags on to its sixth day, here are the top developments at this hour. The Israeli Prime Minister vowed to wipe Hamas off the face of the earth shortly after forming an emergency unity government. Addressing the newly formed war cabinet, Benjamin Netanyahu declared, and I quote, "Every Hamas member is a dead man." Netanyahu has temporarily settled his political differences by including centrist former defense minister Benny Gantz in the new government formed for the duration of the crisis. Israel has amassed thousands of troops, tanks and other heavy armor around Gaza as it executes a total siege of the strip before launching a ground offensive. The threat of a multi-front war is also looming large as Israel came under fresh attacks on its northern borders from militant groups in neighboring Lebanon and Syria. Supplies ran low in the Gaza Strip, where power went out last evening after the only power station in the territory ran out of fuel. With this, all medical facilities risk going out of operation within days, triggering a greater humanitarian crisis. The United Nations says 11 of its volunteers have been killed in the Israeli air raids in Gaza. Other international aid groups have also reported volunteer fatalities in Gaza. The aid groups have demanded a humanitarian corridor into the blockaded strip. Meanwhile, the US President Joe Biden also made his first call for restraint over Israel's response to the Hamas attacks. He has urged Israel to abide by the rules of war, even as more arms and ammunition supplies from Washington arrived in Israel. The US confirmed at least 22 American citizens have been killed in Israel as US Secretary of State Antony Blinken left to visit the battling US ally. But the US has still not been able to ascertain the number of Americans taken hostage by the Hamas group. Fears mounted in Israel over the fate of at least 150 hostages held in Gaza by the Hamas. The militant group claims to have released 3 hostages, including 2 children and a woman, but awaiting confirmation and verification, Israeli media has denied the claims, saying the 3 were never taken hostage in the first place. The militant group also claimed that 4 captives died in Israeli strikes. Earlier, they threatened to kill other hostages if civilian targets are bombed without advance warning from Israel. The Hamas group have come under heavy criticism for its brutal attack on Israel, where reports say its fighter decapitated babies as they went on a rampage in Israeli settlements on Saturday. Now, the US President Joe Biden says he had seen pictures of beheaded children among the casualties in Israel. Reports of beheaded children have not been confirmed by the Israeli Defense Forces. But Biden nonetheless expressed his disgust at the reported atrocities. Meanwhile, unrest flared in the West Bank as well, where protests have been held in solidarity with Gaza. So far, at least 27 Palestinians have been killed in clashes in the West Bank that have been recurring since Saturday. Finally, the Israeli security forces came under fresh criticism after a US congressional panel chairperson confirmed that Israel was warned by Egypt of potential violence 3 days before Hamas's attack. Earlier, the Israeli Prime Minister rejected reports of warning from Egypt as absolutely false.